I am wandering in the foothills of the Magdalenas right now. It's a bright, sunny, windy spring day. There's nothing like this. This is my old stomping ground, wandering around in the middle of the desert. It was a really hard call for me to move to Roswell from this. I mean, as you can see, for obvious reasons. The sky is bigger here. It's much bigger. Well, there really isn't anything to impede the sky in Roswell. There aren't really even any mountains like this. I miss the mountains too. This is the astonishing effects of water. This used to be a path that we could walk down, and now it is a ravine in the desert. It is so nice right now. The wind has died down. Beautiful. I love spending my weekend here. I go to San Miguel Mission for Mass. I usually try to make it to the 8 a.m. This morning. I did not. I just could not get up. Stayed up too late chatting with family. And went to the 10 a.m. Mass, which had the youth choir. I don't know if that's the youth group or maybe the religious education kids. I don't know, but I like it. I think most people like to listen to children at Mass. There's probably some grumpy old people who don't. There are always grumpy old people. Those are a guarantee in life. I don't want to ever be a grumpy old person. I want to be a joyful, kind, old person. That's where I'm headed, to be my joyful, kind old person. Enjoying my walks, enjoying the brilliant blue sky. It really is astonishingly beautiful here. I have to watch where I'm going because I might trip. You know, it's a very uneven surface. Like I said, there used to be kind of a pathway. Not much of one anymore. This is your walking tour of the desert in New Mexico. I'm walking up to an old mine shaft. That's going to be my destination. I don't really have the equipment to film in the mine shaft itself, but I'll take you to the outside of the mine shaft and we'll look down on the river valley. That's what we'll do. I have not posted a video in a couple weeks, but I've been out of town a lot. Just way too much going on. I am the worst YouTuber and book marketer in the universe, but everything is really a struggle. Sometimes, especially book marketing, that's really a struggle. I'm going to get better at it. I always tell myself that, but I'd rather just write my books. And how's that coming? Well, I don't know. I'm like in the midst of craziness right now. Kind of like the major fight between the good guys and the bad guys. And my book is called Delivering the Goods and the Bads. Murder mystery, ghost story, set in Roswell, New Mexico. Comedy, or supposed to be. At least I laugh when I'm writing it. I don't know if anybody else is going to laugh. But maybe they will. This is where natural springs come up. That's why you have this like little mini bosquecito here to the side of the arroyo. Oh, look, spring water leaking out. Yeah, it's getting very, oh, here's like the line of the spring right here. Where it's been spilling out. It's warm. It's like tepid warm water. Lukewarm, maybe. Is that what you call it? It's not hot springs or warm springs. There are a lot of those around here. Some much farther away than, like maybe a good 30 minutes into if I were to walk across the desert. They used to have a swimming pool here made from the warm springs, but apparently environmentalists shut it down because there was an endangered isopod. In other words, a roly-poly bug, but a specific kind that was only found there, and with people bathing in there, it threatened the livelihood of the these like little isopods, roly-polies. Boy, my path is getting pretty full of, well, that's because of the springs, so there's a lot more growing in here. I'm gonna go around that mess so I don't catch my clothing on the sharp spines. It's always a danger here, Sharp spines in the desert. Oh, look at that sky. It's amazing. There used to be a pond up here, but it's entirely filled in with reeds. Kind of unfortunate. Yeah, these kind of reeds, entirely filled in. Kind of sad, but a lush spot in the desert for sure. I'm sure it'll look nicer when true spring comes, rather than this not quite there, missed it by that much springtime. When I was driving over to Socorro, when I hit Highway 380, it blew snow pretty much all the way past Carrizozo. So yeah, pretty much from the turnoff all the way past Carrizozo, which is kind of like that. It's not really halfway. It's a little over halfway, I would say, coming from Roswell anyway. There, you see all those cattails and reeds filling in where the pond used to be. Just devastatingly sad. I don't know if it's devastating, but so what happens when you have water in the desert. And up there is the mine shaft that I'm aiming for. My phone told me, the weather told me it was going to be cold, 51, which is not exactly cold, but when there's a sharp cold wind, it does feel very cold. And so I'm put on my jacket, and now I regret it. Of course, I might get out of breath because I have to go up this hill. And we're also at a higher altitude than I'm used to. Not too much higher, about 5,000 feet. Of course, once we get up to the mine shaft, I don't know how many more feet I'll be above sea level at that point. Socorro's a little higher than Roswell, and those areas in between that I have to drive through, I think hit close to 7,000. That's why you get drifting snow, cold weather, even in March. But that's New Mexico for you. You never know what it's going to do. Oh boy. It's wonderful, clear, brilliant. Yeah, I really do love mountains and mesas and foothills, and it was hard for me to move to Roswell, which was flat, where the desert meets the grasslands. It just seemed like this flat, horrible landscape, especially when you're driving in. And then as you drive over, so I've been to a lot of the trips I've done out of town lately have been to Lubbock or Midland. I took my accordion to a person in Midland who tunes and fixes and builds accordions. Pretty amazing. That's all oil country out there. It's even flatter and uglier than Roswell, I think. one time I went up in, I think it's called the Petroleum Building in Roswell. Tall building, and they had done some work on it and fixing it up and creating rentals, and they had everything open up, and I went in there and took the steps up, looked out of one of the upper story windows, and realized Roswell's this mecca of green. Beautiful. When you look down on it, it's like the strip of green in the middle of the brown landscape, because grasslands aren't really lush and green. They're kind of more yellow, kind of look brown from a distance, yellowish brown, I guess. Not what you would think, you know, when I see grass yards in Roswell and their grass is super green. I know they're not. They have some kind of not native grass. The native grass, you really have to work to keep an even green color. Otherwise it gets really patchy. And I guess if you let it go, it would just be yellow, brown. Yeah, I'm out of breath from climbing. So what's up with my my book? I think I was just saying craziness because I'm chewing. I'm busy crashing cars, remote control vehicles, of very expensive vehicles, because it just like brings me joy to crash them. It did not bring me too much joy to have Hector's Silverado crashed into, because I really like Silverados, but I had to do it for the story. It's like when sacrificing a character for a story. Sometimes you just have to do it. It just is what it is. One must be true to one's art. And of course he gets beat up a lot. Not so much in this book, but I'm going to let him get beat up. Oh my goodness. Sorry. Okay. We are now at the mine shaft. I feel like I shouldn't get out of breath that easily. I do work out every day, but I don't do a lot of intense cardio. Okay, there. Now you are looking down on the river valley. Isn't it amazing? Okay, and I might just sit here, dangle my legs over the cliff edge, and let me catch my breath, finish this video. Okay. Hi. So I'm very close to finishing my book, but my goal is really to have it finished and a box of books in my hands by the time of the Alien Festival here in Roswell, because I'd like to have a booth and sell my books, signed books at the booth. I mean, I have my other Roswell books, the first of a two-part alien adventure novel, and the first of the mystery involving a delivery driver, ghosts, murders and mayhem generally, and people getting beat up. So that, hopefully the second book in the delivery driver series will be out and ready to go by the Alien Festival. That is my goal. That is my plan. I've yet to talk to the person who edited the first book. I would really like her to do the second, because she's a Roswell native, and she kind of just gets the zeitgeist. So yeah, that's why I want her to edit. She's also a really good, meticulous editor. Any errors and flaws in the book are my own, because I couldn't stop editing after she had done her work and I introduced new errors. That is what an author does. Authors are terrible human beings sometimes. I mean, from an editor's standpoint, because they just can't stop. They don't know when to quit, and they just keep going. But honestly, I haven't even finished the entire book. Yeah, I kind of edit as I go. I try not to do too much, but I kind of do because I have to get back in the I don't know, I have to get back in the feel of the book. So sometimes I go back and edit and make sure everything is flowing. And sometimes it doesn't flow as well as I thought, and sometimes it flows a lot better. It just really depends, honestly. And sometimes the parts that made me laugh when I was writing them aren't as funny when I'm reading them. So I don't know what to make about that. I really do entertain myself when I write. That is really the purpose. It's really about entertaining myself. Yeah, and I do like to write books. I guess it's because I don't make a lot of money off of them, I guess it's just a really expensive hobby, kind of like playing the accordion. Probably less expensive than playing the accordion, because I don't really, aside from purchasing accordions every once in a while, I don't really spend any money. I did just spend money to get my Gabinelli tuned, and like I said, I had to go to Midland to do that. That was at least somebody had recommended a guy in Midland, and he really does seem to be an accordion enthusiast. I enjoyed my trip to Midland. It was a good trip. I had to leave it there a week, so I actually made 2 trips, but one was an overnight trip and one was a day trip. Yeah, that's what I've been spending my life doing, going to Lubbock or Midland. Lubbock usually for car purchases. I was helping my daughter. I didn't help her purchase the vehicle, but we had to go back multiple times because, to find a suitable vehicle. Anyway, you really want to go over to Lubbock to buy a vehicle. Purchasing a vehicle in New Mexico will just cost you a lot and you'll get less for your money, at least in my experience. And, Lubbock's actually really nice. I like Lubbock. It's when you get over to Midland, Odessa, that it just really, it wasn't meant to be a beautiful town, honestly. I mean, it's oil town, so you're going to have a lot of rough people there, kind of like Artesia, New Mexico, which has a fairly high crime rate. I think sometimes it's the highest in New Mexico, just because of those rough oil people. Not that everybody is, but it does attract that crowd. Yeah. So publishing by July, that's my goal. And then as soon as I publish that, I'm going to write the sequel to the Alien Adventure novel and be done with that, because it's just a 2-book series. And then I'm going to pick up my delivery driver murder mysteries, and I'm going to continue for as long as I feel like continuing before I start a new one, because sometimes it's hard for me to keep going. I get bored of characters. But in my Alien Adventure, I'm definitely going to have a different protagonist in the second book. And in the first book, it was a young girl named Talat, 17, not that young, but a girl named Talat. It's from her perspective, and I like Talat, but I didn't want to stay in her perspective for 2 full books. I remember what it was like to be a teenage girl, and I don't necessarily want to remain in that perspective. I mean, so sue me. I love teenagers are great, but if you had to go back any time in life, I doubt most people would go back to their teen years. Oh, maybe some would. I wouldn't go back at all. I really look at the past and I say no point in having regrets, because you can't change the past anyway, and you can't force your older self on your younger self. Your younger self is young and immature, and that's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way life is. Life is a path. It's a path forward. It is Lent right now. I hope that you are having an efficacious Lent is not the word for it. I was going to say enjoyable, but it's really not supposed to be a season of celebration. It's supposed to be a season where we examine ourselves and we repent before God, and we renew our spirits before Easter. And there are, aside from penance, making penance for our sins and repenting, generally you should be giving alms and doing good things for other people. This also helps to set our spirits right. What justifies us is Jesus Christ and the work he did on the cross for us. That is how we are saved, is through Jesus Christ. But we have and walk. And I don't think I had to miss Mass last week because I just honestly wasn't feeling very well and I was sneezing. I don't think I could have gotten through the Mass without sneezing about 100 times. I don't even know if I was sick or if it was allergies. It's really hard to tell. We've had horrible high winds in Roswell and not a lot of precipitation, and that causes a lot of dust and pollen to accumulate. But whatever the case, I couldn't breathe very well and I did not go to Mass, and I felt very sad about that. But it just felt kind of inappropriate going to Mass and sneezing all over everybody 100 times. But I did make it this morning to San Miguel, like I said, and it was the youth choir. Really enjoyed it. I love going to San Miguel. If you ever want to go to a church that is one of the oldest in the nation, very beautiful, but doesn't get a lot of the tourist traffic, doesn't get all the write-ups and to do as, say, Taos or Santa Fe, go to San Miguel. There is a lot in Socorro. It is sort of a nexus point where, yes, you can visit San Miguel here in town, and you can also go off to Box Canyon. You can go hiking in Water Canyon. You can go to Magdalena, which is a village on the way out to the VLA. So you could go to the VLA with a very large array. And so there are a lot of beautiful places here, a lot of history. I have a lot of family history here as well. I did a walking tour, I guess it was a little over a year ago now, with my mom, and went to some of our old houses. I can post the link to that video in the description if you'd like to see that. I also did a funny little interview with I interviewed my mom, and I did a funny little interview with my dad at lunch. We went to El Camino, which is a long-standing Socorro establishment and often the only restaurant in town. And it used to be open 24 hours, though I don't think since COVID nothing is open 24 hours anymore. That's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. I don't want to keep rambling. I don't have a lot to say. I just wanted you to see this beautiful landscape. Here, I'll turn the camera and get the view again. Wanted you to see this beautiful landscape, kind of the place of my heart. The book, The Minoverse, that I published in, I'm going to say 2018 is when I published that, takes place partly here and partly in Albuquerque. I had moved to Roswell, but I just hadn't yet incorporated Roswell's landscape into my book. So that is definitely a River Valley based book, and it's near future science fiction, and it's also a comedy. So if you like sci-fi comedy, it's also got a lot of heart. A lot of terrible things happen. Isn't it wonderful? I just miss it so much sometimes. The town itself has died, especially during COVID, really died. We used to have many functioning businesses that are no longer here, and it's sad, but the beauty is still here. San Miguel is still there. And also, if you ever get the chance, go to Alamo Gallery and Gifts here if you decide to stop. My father has his artwork there. You can also buy some of my books. I sell my books there too. But if you want to see my dad's amazing artwork, you can go there. The gallery has booths with all kinds of artwork and jewelry, and the Alamo Reservation also is out there in that direction, when you're going out that way to past Magdalena. The Alamo Reservation is out there, and there are some artists from Alamo. That's why it's called Alamo Gallery and Gifts, because the gallery is owned by Alamo and run by the city of Socorro. sort of a joint effort. And so there is Navajo jewelry there that you might like to look at. Beautiful silver work. I think you'd enjoy it. And what else? Aside from El Camino, let's see, I can't think what it's called right now because it's had other names in the past, but it's called Diamond something. That restaurant's really good. They have good food there. Yo Mama's is supposed to be really good, but I've never eaten there because it just doesn't ever seem to be open when I'm here. Those are the restaurants that I would recommend. Yo Mama's, I've heard good things about. El Camino is just a diner. I mean, they have New Mexican cuisine and some, honestly, like, I think the owner used to be Persian, and so there's some Middle Eastern things on the menu, like, well, maybe Greek, like gyros and like a roasted chicken that's done Mediterranean style. But mostly it's just standard diner fare and New Mexican standard diner fare, where you can get enchiladas, but you can also get like a chicken fried steak. And yeah, it's like nothing to write home about, but it's also pretty good. I mean, I've eaten there a lot of times over the years, many times. It's just a great Socorro establishment. So that's all I got to say. Come to Socorro. It's a great place to visit. And it's really on the way to Albuquerque and Santa Fe. If you're coming up from the south, you might as well stop here and go to Mass at San Miguel, because it used to be open, for people to come in during the day and sit and look at the beautiful statues. But like everything else, it's locked up now because people are thieves and vandals much more than they used to be in the past. I really don't like that. I don't like that part about the world. It's really sad. Okay, and that's it. If you can hear explosions, yeah. There are explosions. There's also a gun range out here. I think you can see it. That sort of buildings out there, that's the gun range where you can go shooting, or maybe not. I don't know. I know some people shoot there, but you can usually hear multiple rounds going off. I don't know what I'm hearing for explosions right now. Behind us, they do, behind this mountain, they do experiments in explosives. The college does, and Emmertech and the college. But I don't think that's hugely common on a Sunday, which this is, a beautiful Sunday. I really have to get on the road soon. I have to go back to Roswell, to go back to the land of aliens, where hopefully I will have my books for sale at the Alien Festival. And I'm hoping that my dad will be there too, selling some of his artwork. If you want to go to Roswell for the Alien Festival, you will see me there, hopefully. God willing, and all that. So, to wave at the camera and say goodbye, and have a wonderful, peaceful Lent, and have a wonderful, peaceful Sunday in Lent.